The indie game landscape is fairly littered, I say, with roguelike games. These are games where there's an element of risk involved, and if you screw up and your character dies, you're done. You gotta start over from scratch. Today we're looking at a unique little roguelike called Darkest Dungeon. This is available on Steam. It's in early access, but it's a very polished game, and it's bringing together elements of roguelikes and turn-based RPGs and town building games, and I don't know, there's a real crazy mix of stuff in here, all wrapped up in an amazing art style.
As the fiend falls, a faint hope blossoms.
Let's start off with the art style, which I love.
Oh,
it's this
beautiful,
great comic book thing, and honestly, that's a little bit overdone in games. But in this, it really works. It's a sort of Edward Gorey, Lovecraftian thing. So basically, you have a relative who has left you his crazy old house where he was.
You gotta watch the intro because
it is amazing.
It's like it's so, reclaim your birthright.
I beg you, return home, claim your birthright, and deliver our family from the ravenous, clutching shadows.
So now the thing is that eventually sort of this whole town unlocks, and because there's your stables and barracks, and you've got like an abbey and a bar and a tavern. Because the really sort of interesting thing here is that all of your characters have a stress level, and sort of your resolve is tested, and so which makes sense because obviously you are dealing with a bunch of freaky monsters, and that's super stressful.
It's got like that's kind of one of the Lovecraftian things about it. It's like they don't call it sanity, but it kind of is because you're going into these dungeons and facing off against these horrible things, and when bad things happen to your party, your stress level goes up, and when it hits its max, your resolve is tested. Like it announces it, you know, Victor's resolve is tested, and will he become courageous? Will he become paranoid? Will he become fearful? And these reactions have an effect on your party. Sometimes, like when a guy goes nuts, he'll actually just become really aggressive, and he'll attack without you issuing commands. You don't get to say what attack he's going to use or who he's going to attack. He's just in there doing his attack. Or they'll become so fearful that they can't actually really participate, or they'll deny healing. They'll be like, I don't want to heal. Let me bleed out. You know, the blood is my suffering.
And you need the healers, right? So this is the thing. You can have, I think, up to like 20 guys, but it's a 4-person party that goes down every single time. And the other thing is, don't get too attached to your characters because they die. They die a lot. And so, I mean, I think that one of the other interesting sort of tactical things is basically, it's sort of like quarter combat. So the order of your team kind of really matters. So you want like a crusader up front, maybe like a healer or like your magic toting character in the back, that sort of thing. So that's sort of one of the other tactical things you got to think about.
And when you're putting like, you know, you send Scott to the tavern to have a drink so he'll like chill out, then he's not available for the next expedition. So as long as you leave your characters in the abbey or the tavern or wherever they're getting, you know, their mind fixed, they're not available to go down to the dungeons. So it's just basically you work up this roster of characters, all kinds of character classes. You got like plague doctors and grave robbers and crusaders and like bandits and all kinds of really unique monsters.
And that was the one thing that I wished maybe was a little bit more explanation, a little bit of the differences between classes.
Or any explanation.
Yeah, a little bit more maybe explanation of the difference in classes I would have liked, you know, and a little bit more how to do some things. But if you ever played an RPG,
yeah, if you're exploring the Darkest Dungeon, you got to figure stuff out as you go along, and then, you know, figure out what works well against what monsters, what spell effects are best. Eventually you build up, you know, equipment. You can level up your blacksmith. You can level up all the stuff in your town to make your party better. Their resolve builds up the more experience they get, so they don't get quite as stressed out. My resolve level, I think if I was a character, my resolve level would be like 5. You know, I'd see a monster, I'd be like, out, see ya. The doctor's leaving, have fun.
There's a ton of stuff in it, and it's done actually really, really well. And I think that even sort of the side-scrolling thing does add enough of a sort of difference to it as opposed to something, say, being top-down, right? Which is a lot of these games tend to be. So, no, it's a really, really neat game.
Yeah, this is a really cool mix of genres with an amazing art style. I really dug it. I'm going to be playing a lot more of it. I'm going to give Darkest Dungeon an 8.5.
Really liked it, 8 out of 10.